All right, so let's take just a few seconds to talk about the components that are in this firebox. The hinges first, or here and up here, are the same style hinges. I may make another style, very similar cutouts with the laser, but just a little different profile, I guess, for the firebox door. I've been using these for a long time, and they seem to be working well. I just may try a different style that looks a little different. Maybe one that comes up, goes over, and then comes back down. I don't know. I'm still torn there. But at this point, I am using the same hinge all across the cooker on the cook chamber, as well as the firebox, and they work pretty well. It's 1/4 inch PIO, that's pickled in oil, so there's no mill scale. It's ready to weld, which makes things a whole lot easier, and you don't have any paint issues or anything like that. Of course, I sandblast my smokers before I paint them with the heat paint anyway. And at this point, and I have been for a while using POR 15, which works out pretty well. You're limited in colors to flat black, so that is the limitation to that, but the paint works very well. It's very durable. So this piece is 3 pieces. The assembly, rather, is 3 pieces, and a typical door takes 2 assemblies. So this is one assembly, the horizontal piece, and then the 2 vertical pieces. I provide these to a lot of guys who are building smokers, and it saves a lot of time. They're laser cut, they're not plasma cut, so they're very crisp, but the hole is 0.501 inch, so a 1/2 inch bolt will go in and fit very, very nicely. There's not a lot of slop, and that's a very, very precise hole. I like to use, I'm able to get these very thin stainless steel washers, and I use those as a more or less a bush in between. Now, for a while I was using fender washers. I get those from the hardware store. They're thinner and they're taller, so that seems to work out well, and I like having that bushing, something to act as a bushing between the parts. So that's the way the 3 of those parts go together. And I use stainless steel bolts and the stainless steel washers, just so that I don't have a rust issue. And I can provide those bolts. I'll just have to charge whatever they cost me. But most guys go to a hardware store and just get regular grade zinc plated bolts to put in there. So next we have the door handle. The door handle is a 2 brackets, which I do provide the brackets by themselves, and guys will use whatever kind of shaft they want to, or pin they want to put in there, or I sell it as an assembly with the 1/2 inch pin that has the washer already welded on the end and ground flat, so that it looks nice, so that you can't tell that it was a washer to start with, but that's what it is. And again, these holes are 0.501 burned with a laser, so they're very, very precise, and there's no slop. I use the Lava Lock stainless steel 5-inch spring. I stretch it just a little bit so that it gets a little bit of preload against the other side when I put it on. And then I use another stainless steel washer and a stainless steel cotter pin to go in there. I just don't like the way rust looks. Of course, these pieces get painted, but I just don't like all that to look rusty. It's just me. So that's those 2 parts. Another part that seems easy enough. Some guys will use horseshoes or whatever as grate pulls. This, of course, is the searing box grate. Just slides in, or the searing grate for the firebox. Slide just lays in right there. I like to put 2 pulls on it so that it's easy to get in and out. I also make and provide these. I have set up the jigs, so I can spend an afternoon making a whole bunch of these, where it would take you know, somebody just building, gosh, probably, I don't know, several hours an afternoon to make 4 of them. And I have the jigs and everything set up to cut and bend these, so they go pretty quick for me. And of course, they're all exactly the same. So all you have to do is just make sure you get them welded at about the same angle so that they look good, and they do look good. They're cold roll 3/8, so that's certainly enough to be picking these grates up and handling it. All right, so we'll zoom in just a little bit more and talk about the door latch. The door latch is a few pieces here. It's a 1/2 inch piece of cold roll that I have bent into a 90 degrees, a piece of 1 1/4 inch cold roll that I have turned on the lathe so that I have a relief hole for that 90-degree bend there. Otherwise, it doesn't fit right. See how that will bind up here. So I have relieved that down so that this shoulder, this flat shoulder, will ride against the this portion here, and then the spring will come back butt against that and look very, very nicely. And of course our washer and cotter pin go on the end to preload that spring just a little bit, and then we'll cut that off, or you will cut that off with a cutter of some sort. I usually use a 4.5 inch grinder with a 1/16 cutter on it. Essentially, this is what it looks like when it's finished. There is another piece of cold roll on the inside, as well as 2 washers. One washer just floats against the door. I don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in here in just a second. This washer is just free spinning back there and acts as a bushing. The second thicker washer is welded to this part right here that just goes through the door. Of course, the post, which I call this the post, welds to the door itself, and then you drill a hole the same size, the 1/2 inch hole, through the door itself after you get this tacked on, and I would tack it on before. Don't go ahead and weld it all the way around because you don't want to have the heat harden the door and make it harder to drill. So just tack it in a couple of spots and it'll be fine, and then drill your hole and then come back and finish welding all the way around. So this piece just attaches to the door, and then this one slides through. That's this here, of course, that I've cut it off, and I provide these a lot longer because some guys will have insulated doors, an insulated firebox with an insulated door, so who knows how thick they need that. This is obviously not insulated door, so I cut off, I don't know, what, 2 inches of that, and attached a short piece that I provide of a 1/2 inch cold roll that comes out and catches on the inside of the door. Now, and I will take the camera around in just a minute and show you the inside. There is a piece of flat bar stock welded to the inside of this door face right here, door frame, and it's just 1/4 by 2 flat stock about that long, just a piece of flat stock that I ground a nice ramp on. So when this piece comes down, it slides down that ramp and snugs the door real tight. So and the more shallow you make that ramp, the better that seems to work. And I'll provide a couple of still shots of that here in just a couple of seconds. So that's a very durable solution, simple solution. It's easy to install. I've in years past made latches that are more complex and look kind of cool, but I have found over the years that simplicity is the way to go. In welding this piece of stock there, drilling a hole through the door is about as easy as it gets, and then slamming this through. One washer as a bushing, the other holds that in place, and then weld the third piece on here, and you're home free. So it's a very simple assembly to install.